Hello everyone, how are you feeling today? It's Eris everyone here, and today I'm coming at you back with another Vendread update. Now this is an update before the, or should I say with the Megatin promos. I kind of didn't really take them to account yet, the world premieres that we're getting those three amazing cards, because I kind of really don't know how to work around them yet. This is more of the should I say casually, or should I say more of like, the basic builds that I think Vendreads need to go with. And because of that, I kind of like not 100% sure what to do against Noboru or, what is his name again? Dimension Shifter and Dark Ruler No More, those three cards. Those three cards specifically, I do have maybe things that can work with Noboru, which is Zombie World. I just want to let you to hear you guys in the comments down below to tell me in terms of ruling if Noboru can be stopped by Zombie World, because I think like his text is different enough from Kaiju's, so it could maybe be stopped by that. Yes, I know it was a weird sentence to say, but yeah. And also, there is two cards that I proxy in the extra deck, which are two of them are a Vendread Savior, which unfortunately didn't arrive in the mail yet, which is also the other reason why I kind of delayed the video until Friday again and not did it immediately a week after that in Monday or stuff like that. So, yeah, that's pretty much the reason. Also, I cannot wait to get this card as a super rare, by the way, because I love the card so much. But anyway, starting things off with the Vendread monsters, we start off with 1 Executor, 2 Battlelord, and 2 Slayer. This is my normal lineup for Vendread Ritual monsters, as everybody knows me. And I might actually even consider, because of Vendread Savior and some other cards, maybe even cutting this card down to 1 in the future. Maybe a little bit of an overkill, but we'll see about that. But for the time being, 2, 2, and 1 is working quite fine. The reason why I think like I maybe want to cut this down to 1, because sometimes it's actually bricks. And that's one of the biggest issues in Vendreads, is like if you run way too much ritual monsters, it's bricks. If you don't run enough, you don't see them, and it's a little bit of a weird mixture between them. But 5 doing for me quite fine, even though I want like kind of like more of like 4.5. That's the number, but unfortunately you can't do that. Slayer is just good at 2. For a lot of people that are new to the channel or new to my builds, Re-Vendread Slayer is just good at 2. Because you can search it so easily, and even if you dump it down to the graveyard and you have like another one in your hand, you can always just use pre-preparation of rites to get this back from the grave to your hand. So it's not even the end of the world in that, and like I said, it's just really, really bad to say discard at 3. And I rather having a second copy of this, I'm already going to run 5, than having 3 copies of this, because this can also be dumped with the Re-Vendread Evolution, which is sometimes I'm using this one to dump for the other one to just get the full ritual. And then you have Executor, which is pretty much your big boss boy. And this one just protects all of your monsters from targeting, and if you use Core with him, you essentially make him also untargetable, so all of your board become untargetable, which is really cool. Moving on for the one-off Vendread monsters, the Pringles, as like Rada like to call them, and it's actually kind of a cool name, or for anybody who don't know, rank 10 Yu-Gi-Oh! This is pretty much your lineup of effect monsters, because these are just your best Vendreads. Hound Horde is really good. I'm actually waiting for the Ultra Rare version just because I like the card and I ordered one in Ultra Rare. Just to let you guys know, I really like the deck. Hound Horde is just really good because you can dish a Vendread card and then special summon him from the graveyard. Strategist is just if you have a Vendread card in your hand, you get to special summon it from the graveyard immediately when it's sent there. And then Core is just banish a zombie from grave, special summon him. And all of these effects banish them when you leave the field. And then you have this guy, which is essentially like you lock you for zombies for the rest of the turn, but most of the time I'm using him to essentially use to summon back the Core to then end up the combo with Executor. So yeah, this is pretty much like what I use to essentially end the board. So Anima is just really, really nice. And I don't run Revenant because Revenant is so bad, because his effect from the grave, you cannot really summon him really, really easily, and unlike the others, it's just, if you open up with him, it is a brick. If you don't open up with him and you use him for what I call it, the Vendread spell, which is, I think, Vendread's, let me check for a second, I'm just going to show it right now. Vendread Charge is not a 2 summons unlike the others, so it's a little bit of a bad card there. That's pretty much does it for the Vendread monsters, 9 Vendread monsters. Now move on to the zombie engines. First off, free copies of Solitaire. I don't think I need to explain this guy. Really simple. And then we're only playing, unfortunately, for anybody who just think I'm stupid in that regard, but I think it's actually kind of smart. You only play 2 Unizombie. If you're playing a 60-card version of Vendreads or more than that, 40 cards, you do want to play maybe more than 2 copies, but because we have essentially, again, 5 copies of this card, and then we're also playing Gozuki, which essentially served as a 6th copy of a dumper to the grave, I just felt like it's not really necessary to run more than 2 Unizombies. Speaking of Gozuki, we run 1 of him and 3 Mizuki. At least I like to run it like that. Some people actually consider maybe even running 2 Mizuki, but I feel like Mizuki is so good in the deck and so important because even if you open up with it in your hand, you can have cards that can essentially dump him, ritual spells that you can use to essentially dump him as well, and then just continue special summoning, and it's just really, really nice. So I feel like 3 Mizuki is still a very, very important card. You can run 2, you can run 1, I just feel like Mizuki is just really, really good, and it's just a 3 monster reborn that you can use multiple times per turn for zombies. Next up for the engine that people actually suggested me, I run 1 copy of Belder Roach, 1 copy of Necrowar Banshee, 1 copy of Shinobi Necro, which is a card that I kind of technically run myself before, but just I think it's part of this engine, and 1 copy of Glow Up Bloom. Now, the reason why I run this engine, I decided to cut down the Vampire engine just because I felt like the Vampire engine is a little bit too much. I at the start I wanted to cut it down to 3 cards, which were the 2 Searchers and the Trap, but even then they felt like a little bit not good enough. We'll maybe see in the future, maybe I'll find space for them again, but for the time being I'm not 100% sure. Maybe in the 60 card variant, I'm going to say again, you know, you wanna run them, and actually when I think about it, if you want to see a 60 card variant of this deck, leave a like and let me know in the comments down below. If you reach like a 15 like and on this video, I might actually going to do that as my next video even, just to show you guys that I can do that, a 60 card variant of Vendreads. But anyway, I decided to run this engine again, just because people suggested me in the comments down below that it's really, really good again to run it, even though we lost Goblin Zombie and all that stuff. And I actually inclined to agree, because there is 1 particular card or 2 cards in the extra that can essentially get her to the grave, and then you can use her effect as a quick effect to activate the field spell, which is one of the biggest things about this card. You can activate this card as a field spell, the field spell effect in the graveyard as a quick effect, which is really good, so you can even just dump it during your turn, don't use its effect, and then just use it during your opponent's turn immediately, which is really, really, really cool. So that's pretty much does it for the monsters. Now I'll move on to the spells. So first off, 3 of your best spell are Vendread Origin. This is the most important spell in the deck. And then we only run 1 copy of Evolution. I've seen people run 2 or even 3. Even in the 60 variant, I only suggest to run 2 because this card is a hard once per turn. Even though it's a really good card, it's just a really much a brick if you run it more than 1 in a 40 card variant. That's pretty much it for the Vendread ritual spells. Then 3 copies of pre-prep and 1 copy of prep to search the Slayer and Vendread Origin, and then also this afterwards, or even before that, if you like dump a ritual spell and then you also want to search a monster, you can essentially like dump, for example, let's say I have Battlelord in my hand, I dump it for a Unizombie or whatever, or I use Unizombie. Sorry, not dump him. Dump the ritual spell. My apologies, I forgot it's the other way around. You dump a ritual spell for the Unizombie whatever effect, and then you pretty much use this to search, for example, like I said, Battlelord, and then you pretty much get the ritual spell back, which is really, really cool. It's essentially like a 1.5 consistency card, so I like to run Preparation of Rites as well. Then for the other spells, I run 2 copies of Vendread Charge. As I explained, this card is really good. It's pretty much ditch a zombie, summon 1 of the Vendread monsters from your deck. Really, really nice in that regard. One copy of Zombie World, really not needed more than one. More than one, it's a brick. Even if I see it in my hand, it's not the end of the world, but I don't really want to see it in multiples, or even have it in my hand, essentially. So one is enough, because you can essentially, like I said, dump her to the graveyard, Necroward Banshee, and then get the card immediately during your opponent's turn, or whatever. So it's like one copy is more than you need. Like, it's enough. More than one is just way too crazy. Then free called by the grave, because I don't want to get interrupted. In the future, these free can be changed to something else. One copy of Burial from different dimension for recovery. 1/1 for 1, because we have 3 level 1 zombies. One copy of Foolish Burial, and one copy of Monster Reborn to round off the spells. And that's pretty much does it for the 40 cards main deck. Like I said, if you guys want to see a 60 card variant, just leave this video a like, and if we will reach 15 likes for the video, I will do the 60 card variant. But for the time being, let's move into the extra deck. So starting things off with the extra deck, let's start with the obvious ones that I like to run. Herald of Arclight, really easy to make. You just need a level 2 and a level 2, which is actually not that bad to make, and you can actually make it with a very standard combo that is... I think I've shown in the past, you can make this really easily, even with like a Vampire Sucker, Shinobi Necro, and a Strigus, and just like even get draw card. It's just really good. It's just a good card. Stardust Charge Warrior for draw power, same goes for Coral Dragon as well. F.A. Dawn Dragster is just a really good card to just end the board with. Another really nice negate. And then a new addition to the extra deck, Shooting Riser Dragon. This card is absolutely awesome, and the reason why Necroward Banshee can be dumped by him and use her effect during your opponent's turn. Because you can essentially use his effect to make himself a level 3 and dump her to the graveyard, and then during your opponent's turn, because she's a quick effect, you can essentially get her effect. And another thing is, like, if you have another level 4 on board, is that during your opponent's turn you can immediately make an F.A. Dawn Dragster. Or you have a level 1, you can immediately make Herald of Arclight. It's just really a flexible card. Very good, and I decided to run this card at 1. One copy of Cypher Lord Omega, because it's a zombie deck. It's also really makeable easily. It's actually really good card for a zombie deck, but I'm actually thinking like Omega is good, but not really good anymore. It's a weird placement for Omega. And then lastly, I'm running one Savage because it's good with Shooting Riser Dragon. Because Crystal Wing is not really good with that, because you need a tuner monster, and a synchro monster. But Borload Savage Dragon is essentially a lot more summonable easily. So I decided to run one Borload Savage Dragon instead of Crystal Wing, like back in the day. Then for the Xyz monsters, I run 2. You run one copy of Beatrice, Lady of Eternal, another Foolish Burial card, and you can make this card fairly easily. You can essentially like make this, and then use like a Mizuki to revive one of your Slayers, and then pretty much make this and dump the card that you want in the grave. One copy of Tornado Dragon, which can be either Tornado Dragon, Abyss Dweller, whatever you want. I just decided to go with Tornado Dragon because Abyss Dweller is in my Salmon Great deck, so I didn't really want to take that out for this, just because I don't really like to move cards so much around. Tornado Dragon is just really good in that regard, as well as just a nice, easy to make if my opponent kind of like force me or disrupt me and I have 2 level 4s on board, which, trust me, like having 2 level 4s on board sometimes at the end of a combo, or just even have Shooting Riser Dragon be one of your level 4s and you already summon these 2 and you don't really care about summoning a Synchro or whatever, it just not even that of a uncommon thing to happen. It just can happen actually quite a lot sometimes. And you can use this card as like, if my opponent stopped me and have 2 level 4s, just make this. It's just nice. You could cut this down. I just love this card quite a bit. Then one Borreload, Phoenix, Cerberus, pretty obvious. These 3 cards are just nice utility cards. Vampire Sucker. And then 2 Mistar Boys to essentially proxy for a Vendread Savior, because I still don't get that card. Even though I think like sometimes I only need the 1, I still play the 2 because I think a Vendread Savior is just really decent of a card. Sometimes like No, of course it depends. If I will see in the future that I want the vampire engine back, I might going to switch the Vendread Savior, one of them, back to another vampire sucker. We'll see how that will work in the future, but for the time being, this is the list of extra deck monsters I decided to go with. And that's pretty much does it for the extra deck and does it for the deck profile of the 40 card variant. Like I said, if you want to see a 60 cards, you're more than welcome to leave a like, leave a comments down below how you improve this deck as well. And like I said, when we're going to reach 15 likes for this video, I'll promise you I will do a 60 card variant immediately afterward that. So that's pretty much it for that. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel because it really helps. And it's helped me and motivate me to create more awesome content for you guys. And I'll see you guys next time. Remember, creativity is the key in this game. Have a good day, guys. Stay safe. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.